Oh, they fired it up. That would go diesel. Yeah, I think it's what I saw myself.
As it lifts, notice that it will lift straight up. It does not just lift from one end to the other as many modern bridges do. It still does this using cables, winches, counterweights, and pulleys. There are no modern-day hydraulics in this old bridge. Also notice when the bridge is all the way up, or what's called fully extended, people can still walk across the canal because of lovely stairways they built at both ends. Now, it was built way back in 1914, but in service in 1915. It's been operating here continuously since then. By the way, this bridge is so unusual, you find it listed in believe it or not.
places, I wonder where they all disappear. I didn't answer the question too long. I was hungry and went out for a bite. Ran into the trunk with a bottle of rum, and we wound up drinking all night. It's these changes in life, changes in attitudes, none remains quite the same. All of our own.
Washington. George Washington led the first survey across New York State to see if we could build such a waterway. He reported to our federal government that it might be possible to build that waterway. He also reported that he didn't feel we had the technology back in those days to be able to complete such a project. It wasn't until Governor DeWitt Clinton of New York State took up the idea for a canal that canal construction finally got underway.
Oh yeah!
They started digging our canal at Rome, New York, and when you talk about digging a canal back in those days, it was all hand digging. Those were times long before we had any kind of power equipment. The original canal was about 4 feet deep, it was 40 feet wide. They had built 83 locks in that system to compensate for differences in elevation between Albany and Buffalo. Now, there's an elevation change of over 500 feet between those two cities. Today's canal has been greatly improved since the original. Today the canal is about 100 feet wide in most areas. It averages between 12 and 15 feet in depth. And because they were able to straighten the old canal out a bit over the years, we now only require just 36 locks to operate our system of today. Now this little wider part of the canal is called the oxbow. If you were to look at this area from overhead, that's exactly the shape the canal takes through here, is that of an old oxbow, like they once used to harness the teams of oxen. I mentioned earlier that the original canal was all dug by hand, and because of that they were always looking for shortcuts or ways to get out of some of that hand labor. One of the things they would do is they would try to use existing small lakes or rivers wherever they could, and then just simply canalize them or include them into their canal system. There was once a small lake in this area. However, over the years, when the canal was improved through the Fairport area, a lot of the dredgings and fill that they removed were brought into this small lake. That's how they built the islands that are on our left. That's Erie Road. Over to the left of the bridge is the public launch site for the town of Harrington. Now, this is a free launch site where you can put your private boats into the canal to do a little cruising. Now, although the launch site is free, cruising the canal these days is not. Those who use our canal system here in New York State must purchase something called a user's permit. Now, the average pleasure boater pays around $75 a year for one of these permits, but once they have it, they get unlimited use of our canal system for one season. It's really quite a bargain when you stop to think there's over 1,000 miles of waterways that are associated with our canal system here in New York State. Just to do a little repair or maintenance on the canal, and they adjust water levels for that purpose. Our gates are also very low. They're just like a low bridge, so if you're on the upper deck, you seated for a minute, and if you're below, then you use the stairway. Excuse me, behind the old grain company, a little grain storage silos back there. The original plan was to tear the old silos down when they were all building, but somebody got an idea that maybe they could use them for something. Well, that they did. They converted those old grain storage silos into a very unique office building.
Erie Canal Park.
got two nice low bridges coming up here, folks. The first one here is Main Street. If you're on the upper deck, please be seated. And if you're below, do not use this stairway. Low bridge, watch the heads. On the canal could carry. This was a real dirty trip.
Cute hat.
It's cute. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. We're gonna go up. The thing's going to fill up with water, right? And then we're going to go up on the top level. That is cool.
So we're in here. They're going to fill us up with water.
We're going to float out of there.
Look, we are. We're in here. They're going to fill us with water.
Yeah, wait till she starts. We'll say, oh, okay.
Like that. Oh, now he's walking this in.
Just a moment, you'll walk forward of our boat up to that White House on the left out there. And that's where he'll open valves at that end of the lock. Now that's going to allow water up beyond the big doors up ahead of us and into the chamber through valves and tunnels that are located near the bottom of the lock. Now the chamber will fill with water, approximately 3 million gallons of water, and it will lift us up 25 feet. Now it's rather interesting to know that you cannot use pumps or motors at any time and move water either in or out of the slow chamber. All water flows here just to the left. The tunnel is called Belle. Right now the valves behind us are closed. These guys runs up there over the water in the tunnel and then into the chamber. They're right under the walls. These walls are 6 feet.
Yeah, I got it going all the way to the top. That's right, goes away.
Look how this is filling up and we're going out.
The lock chamber, if you look over the hill on the left side of the boat, you'll see a little stream down there. Now the little stream is what's known as the lock bypass. What happens in the Erie Canal is there's a constant flow of water, just as though it were a little river. But when the flow of water gets to a lock and it's not being consumed to fill the chamber, it has to go somewhere, Otherwise, we'd have a big flood upstream. But what it does is it flows over a little dam near the high end of the lock, and then around the outside of the lock through the bypass. Now, this particular bypass is a one-of-a-kind. It's had a number of modifications made to it, so it's now also a training course for kayakers. Some of these folks are hoping to make their way to the Olympics someday.
What are they looking at, Linda?
Boy, it does. It looks like we're going so quick. Such an illusion. Oh, really? Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Not quite put down in the water.
Closing the valves he had open, allowing the chamber to fill with water. In just a moment, he'll walk forward of our boat up to the White House on the right up there. That's where he's going to open the valves at that end of the lock. And that's going to allow water in the chamber to escape around the big doors up ahead of us through valves and tunnels located near the bottom of the lock. Now once the water is equal in height on both sides of those doors, we'll be able to open them up and we'll be on our way. Once again, they do not use any pumps or motors of any kind. All the water flows just with the help of gravity.
Call ahead. And he said commercial boats, 24 hours a day. But private boats, 7 in the morning, something like this. So
It doesn't seem so lonely. You feel it, I give only to. Burden runs off my shoulder. When I hurt and you. never seemed so good.
So good, so good, so good. Ba, ba, ba.
To believe they never would.
Hey, the only place I've ever
Sweet
been.
Caroline.
Let it go, lady! Hey, Croc!
Happy to
Hey, Dad.
Here's a little bridge to get rid of the credit card. Somebody invited you.
job.
Heads down, low bridge. Yeah, listen to the train. This is an active railroad. Low bridge.
I'm not getting out of
We're going to have another low one coming right up. Main Street, Pittsburgh. Low bridge.
You should stay down.
But it's a real beauty, a Mexican cutie. How it got here, I haven't a clue. Wasted away again in my own room. But there's booze in the blender, soon weather started getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed. Not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. Our ship's aground on the shore of this uncharted desert island. The skip the two, millionaire and his wife, the movie star, Professor and Mary Ann, here on Gilligan's Island. Cleaned a lot of plates in Memphis, pumped a lot of pain down in New Orleans, but I never saw the good side of the sea till I hitched a ride on the Holy Queen. The wheel keeps on turning, proud Mary keeps on burning, rolling, rolling on the river.
Ready to go! Like father, like son.
If you come down to the river, bet you're gonna find some people who live. You don't have to worry if you got no money. People on the river is happy to give. Wheel keeps on turning, proud Mary keeps on burning, rolling, rolling on the river, rolling, rolling, rolling on the river.